fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
What's up, Salt Strong Nation? Joe Simons, like diamonds. Back again, Salt Strong Unchurched, with the 5 most important things in life. These are the things you never want to lose track of, yet so many of us, including yours truly, which is why this one hit home for me and why I'm sharing it with you. It's so easy to lose track of all 5 of these things, yet as I'm reading this and as you hear me discuss each one, you're probably going to be nodding your head saying, yeah, that's pretty doggone important, and yeah, that if everything else was taken away from me, this is really would be where you'd focus on these 5 things. And someone just sent me this article, and it hit home for me, so I wanted to share it with you. So in no real particular order, although I do believe there's one that kind of trumps all of them that I'll share very towards the end. But first and foremost is family, and that just includes our overall family relationships, not just our parents and our grandparents or kids, spouse. So our relationships, I mean, it really is, right? It's the most important thing in the world. It's a crucial factor for happiness. It's crucial in terms of just the combination of you finding fulfillment and finding your calling and your mission and purpose. And people usually with stronger families tend to be happier and tend to even live longer. I mean, family should be and is really at the top of the list in terms of just an overall priority. It's a true family is a group or a person who is just not going to leave you, who has your back. You might not always agree with them, right? I know even just working with my brother, we might not always agree, might even bump heads sometimes, but I know he's got my back. And if there was one person I needed to bail me out of anything or to have my back, it would be him. And same, for my spouse, and I'm talking about like going on fighting, like I want my brother to have my back. But in terms of my spouse, I know she's got my back through everything, and same with my parents and kids, etc. Family, it's critical. But yet, I think the problem is we can all agree with that. Yet, so many of us get so busy, and I'm putting me at the front of this. We get so busy we forget about our family, right? They almost kind of take a back seat to our work or our job or even our hobbies. Some people really get into NFL and all the other stuff that they're doing, and there's all of a sudden, the family might get 30 minutes of their time every day, and I think that's sad. And I've been on both sides of the coin. I've tried to find a ton of balance, and all of a sudden you lose a little bit of balance in your job and you drop some balls there. And I've done the opposite where, I go all in on work and kind of neglect the family a little bit and drop a lot of balls there. And neither of them are fun. I think it's so critical to just remember what's important at the end of the day. Number 2 goes along with this is just friends. It goes back to the relationships. Good friends, they're hard to come by, right? And when you find one, you got to do everything you can to nurture that relationship. And that's another one. It hit me hard because I'm so guilty. I've got all these great friends, some that I met in junior high, some that I met prior to that are still my great friends, some that I really formed some relationships with in high school, and then even some in college, and even some in my working career. And yet we all get too busy, right? How often do you not just text? Text is pretty impersonal, but how often you call one of your old best friends? I know I am super guilty. I'm more likely to text or not do anything at all and just happen to think of them. So I challenge you, maybe take an hour out of the week, not every day, an hour of the week, and just call a couple of them, text them, whatever it is, something. I know I'm so guilty, and it hit hard. I've got so many good friends. I'm so lucky to have found them in my life, and they're tough to come by, especially the older you get. Number 3 is love, and that love includes everything from the friends and family and other intimate relationships you have, obviously, but also just your encounters with others. I think if you kind of strip away everything, and I'm talking about just everything that we as humans feel and deal with, hate, ego, jealousy, anger, just workaholic, all the stuff that we deal with. And I there's a million words you can throw in there, but when you strip all that stuff away, all that's really left is love. I mean, the core of Jesus and the core of this Unchurched, is really love. I talk about love on pretty much every one of these Unchurched episodes. It's really kind of the foundation of everything. And the best news is it's completely free, right? I mean, everything we've talked about, I guess you could debate me on the family because kids cost a lot of money, but meaning all this stuff is really just free. It's the time, obviously, that it takes to build the relationships and even to love someone. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions right now, and why there's a lot of hate and animosity and just division, is I think, before you can really love someone, you must first understand them. And that means putting yourself in their shoes. And that's tough. It's tough for me to do. And, when a lot of these riots and things were coming up, I was just like, threw my hands up, like, you got to be kidding me. What are they thinking? What are they even talking about? And I started putting myself in their shoes. I started listening to try to understand them. And as soon as you can start understanding, where this anger comes from and then why, all of a sudden you're one step closer to love. And I think that's one thing I challenge you to do, and I really think that's the only way to truly love someone is to put yourself in their shoes, and then look through their eyes. Would you love yourself back? Are you being a loving person deep down? And I know the answer for me has been no in many cases. So I try to do this anytime I can, just try to put myself in their shoes and just love them. It's free. Like I said, it's free. It's the best. Number 4 is your calling, your sense of meaning. I've talked a lot about this, your purpose, your passion, your muse, whatever the heck you want to call it. It's something that gives you purpose and fills you with a sense of like vitality, that just everything seems easy when you do it. It's more enjoyable. It's also how you make a difference in this world. And I think so many people, they get distracted by this because they think it, and then they get disgruntled and even depressed by it. They're like, I'm just never going to find my purpose, because they think it has to be something that's so huge, and it doesn't. It could be the smallest little thing that you're doing to make an impact. And God created every single one of us, some to have some massive purpose that's literally going to change the world. That's very, very few of us, by the way. Some that are going to impact hundreds, and some that might only impact 1 or 2 people, maybe even just one, right? I mean, look at like let's take my parents and my brother Daniel in the wheelchair. That might be their purpose, why God put them on this earth, because he knew he needed 2 strong people that were going to raise this young man who's now an adult. I still call him a young man because he's my little brother, and I can't get over calling him a 35-year-old, even though he is. And that might have been their whole purpose in life, is to have 2 strong enough, godly people to raise this young man who has put a smile on hundreds of thousands of people. Everyone who meets him, he goes to Disney World and everyone loves him. It was all because my parents have, given him an opportunity and just absolutely just loved him. I mean, they have just embraced him every which way possible. They've literally changed their lives because of him, and vacations and really everything that they do. I mean, every day it revolves around him, and when you think about it, he obviously lives with them and, can't walk, can't talk. And so every single day, literally from brushing the teeth to getting up to changing clothes to really doing anything requires some help. And my parents are there, and now at 35 years old, I mean, can you imagine? But yeah, they do it with a smile. I'm so grateful for the 2 of them. And then, Daniel as well. I mean, like I said, he has put a smile on so many people's faces, and just makes you kind of realize, back to this whole message, what's really important in life. And so the 5th one ties in with that a little bit, on top of health-wise. What's important is health. I just ruined it there for you. But it's health. It's one of those things you don't really know how much it means and how important it is until it's gone. And you might hear it in my voice. I've been dealing with bronchitis this past week, thought it was because it's chest and mucus and you feel off. And I thought it was COVID. It was not, it was bronchitis. And you don't realize how amazing it is to feel good. And back to my brother, anytime I'm having a bad day, I'm like, well, man, like my brother Daniel could wake up with a smile on his face, who has been in a wheelchair, never has understood what it is to walk or take a jog or to ride a bike outside. I'm so grateful for him. And I'm grateful that God put him in our lives to one, give us a little bit of clarity and two, make us really appreciate every single thing that we have. There was I'm going to find it here. I had it here it is. So this is from a very famous fashion designer blogger who has a lot of money and ended up dying at 40 years old after cancer. And this is one of her last posts. It says, "I have a brand new car parked outside that can't do anything for me. I have all kinds of designer clothes, shoes, and bags that can't do anything for me. I have money in my account that can't do anything for me. I have a big, well-furnished house that can't do anything for me. Look, I'm here in a twin-size hospital bed. I can take a plane any day of the week if I like, but that can't do anything for me. So do not let anyone make you feel bad for the things you don't have, but the things you have. Be happy with those for the things you have. If you have a roof over your head, who cares what kind of furniture is in it? The most important thing in life is love." Those were her very, very last words. And as I said earlier, I do believe that is probably the most important thing. You strip away all the stuff, all the hate and the division and just the ego in general, and you've got love. You've got love. There's the foundation of truly everything. So I would encourage you to just go out there and be more loving, to remember these things. And I think with anything, we had a podcast in the past talking about just the importance of tracking stuff, of writing stuff down, right? We track our finances, right? Did you hear me once talk about money or finance in here? No. And if you read my book, Fishing for Happiness, where we talk about the things that people had said on their deathbed, and it was very similar to these 5 I just listed right here. Not once did someone say the amount of money they had or saved or anything like that. Some did mention money and the fact of how much they gave away to make an impact, but no one ever talked about accumulating money or their job, and it's not even in here, right? I mean, it's so crazy, yet so much of what we do and so much of our time and so much of the stress that we let into our lives, because stress does not exist. Stress is only in your head, right? You can't go buy stress. You can't curse someone else with stress. Stress is 100% made up in your head. And yet most of us who do let stress into our lives, it's usually, not always, but usually because of jobs and or money. Ask me how I know. So guys, that was just a great reminder to really make sure you remember what's important. It's not the money. It's not the job. I think those are great, and those are other ways you can make an impact. But at the end of the day, it comes down to family, friends, love, your calling, your purpose, and then health. And then where I was going with all this is to track this stuff, right? We're tracking our money. We're tracking maybe even fitness would be the one that we might track in terms of how many calories we're burning. Track the other stuff. How are you doing on your purpose, right? Where are you? Do you have a written down plan of where you want to be, where you want to go, what impact you want to make? What about with love? What about friends? What about family? Do you have a family mission statement? Do you have a written down plan of what you want your family to look like, and how tight you are and how much time you're spending with them? Right? We'll say, hey, we got to hit the gym an hour a day, 5 days a week for our health. But, all these other ones, we just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll kind of get to it when I can. Maybe I'll give them a little time here. And I say all this because I'm just as guilty. I've been there, and I'm trying to get better every single week. So guys, that's it. I love you. I hope this was a helpful one to you. Just a good reminder of what's important. Family, friends, love, your calling, your purpose, and health. Any questions, any thoughts? I'll have the show notes. It's saltstrong.com/unchurched up here shortly. And you can go leave me a comment right there. I would love to hear any feedback on other things that you found are important or other ways to help track this and to be better and more mindful of these 5 very, very critical things, really the most important things in life. Adios. I'm out of here.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul. It was passed down to me from the days of old. Find us on the water if there was a way. It's been said my papa, he wrote the book on catching big reds and 20-pound snook. I wish I knew all the things he knew today. For he's the reason why we are this way. And he put fishing